So, truth bomb. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, but I want to share a story with you. And the story is that about 25 years ago, I was in a cult. And it's really like effing scary actually sharing this with everyone on Facebook because it's something that, look, I didn't think I was in a cult at the time. It was afterwards that I realized that that's what was actually going on. But I want you to hear me out for a second because I feel like some of this is going to relate to a lot of people. So I had just spiritually woken up, right? I had only just had this experience where I was in this place of, someone telling me that I could do, psychic work like she did. And, I'd gone to see this psychic and she's like, oh, you've got the same sort of skills as me. And I thought that she was a charlatan, right? I was really, really not interested. I thought that she was just trying to, make out that, take my money or whatever you want to call it. But then I had this experience, and that's a story in itself. But then I had this experience of going home and having to deal with all of it by myself and trying to work out how is it that these things are happening. I had energies touching me and all sorts of stuff, and she wouldn't let me go back. So I was here I was alone in this spiritual world with freaking ghosts, as far as I was concerned, touching me and all weird stuff going on, and I had no idea how to deal with it. She wouldn't let me go back, and I'm left alone with experiences, not just reading books, like which I'd read a couple of stuff, I had a little bit of, information, but nothing that was ready to jump in and go, oh yeah, this is how you do it. And so I had no idea what I was doing, and a blank slate because I'd never, read anything and all of those, I had no idea how to deal with any of it. So what do you do when you find yourself having weird experiences like that? You go searching. And I found myself in looking up, finding out, what's in my local area, blah, blah, blah. And I went to a spiritual center and started doing a meditation class. And through that meditation class, I met a guy called Wayne, and he befriended me. And later on, I found out he had a mental health issue, but I didn't realize that at the time. Totally oblivious, totally in my innocence, totally naive, going to this meditation thing. And he takes me to a workshop that was way over my pay grade, right? Like totally out of tune with what I was into, or what I thought was my path, or, like it just was way out there. And it was talking about all that is and past life regression and all this sort of stuff. It was actually way more than that. And I just thought it was way out of my scope. But I went to it. And the woman that was running it said afterwards, she was did past life regression. And so she said to me afterwards that she had found out from spirit that someone was going to come that was going to change her life and support her in a book that she was creating. And everyone that had turned up was people that she knew. And so when I turned up late with Wayne, she knew that I was the one, right? Now, totally had no concept of it. But what I did was I started doing past life regression with her. And we worked together for 7 years. And through that 7 years, I was part of her book. And it was a really interesting journey. And it kept me contained for 7 years to understand spirituality. I read books. I, was exploring the concepts within my psyche because, I was having these regressions, and I'm talking nearly every single weekend for 7 years. So it was very, very intense. And there was 5 of us. There was me and another 4. There was one guy and the rest of us were women. And most of them lived, they were a lot older and they lived up in the Tablelands and I was living in Cairns. And I used to go up all the time and, you know, do these regressions. And eventually I was one of the only ones that started channeling. And eventually I started doing past life regression myself and facilitating that, right? But I started noticing a few little things that were, as I was growing and as I was learning more, I started noticing a few little things that were just sort of out of place, you know. And I ended up moving up to the Tablelands so that I could create a business with them. And that's when things really started getting out of hand. And I won't go into all of the details, but through that process, I discovered some of the things that were going on in the background that I didn't even realize because I was, you know, an hour and a half down the range from them. And so there was all this stuff, you know, all of her bills were being paid by everybody else. And she started wanting us to call her disciple, you know, that we were her disciples. And there was all these little nuances that didn't feel right. I still didn't pick it up. I didn't pick up that there was anything wrong other than I saw her as my teacher. But whenever I felt there was something out of sorts, I would bring it up. And so right at the end, when I felt like, you know, I remember her because I was massaging people and she was doing past life regression. And I remember her sitting down with me and saying, I'm having people come to me and I'm just wondering why you're not telling them that that you're one of my disciples and that I'm the mother of creation, right? And in my innocence, I was like, well, I can't quite grab that yet, but when I do, I'll start sharing it with people, right? So I didn't see that there was anything wrong with the fact that it just didn't feel right for me yet. And so when it felt right, I was quite happy to share. But when, you know, like I wasn't quite in that element yet. Anyway, long story short, I came to a point where, you know, the money was being taken out of our account, our business account, from her. And there was all this stuff going on in the background, all this stuff that I was like, I'm noticing that, I'm noticing that, and I'm noticing that. And I eventually spoke out and I said, hey, I think you need to speak to these guys because they're wondering where their money is and I didn't spend it, you did. You know, I'm totally fine with whatever's going on. I've no judgment, allowance, all the stuff she was teaching us, but you need to speak to them. And so the next day she came to me and said that they had done a session on me and that I was being coveted, or I was being controlled by a dark goddess, and that she was blanketing the consciousness of the whole planet as well as all of the people that in our group, and creating seeds of doubt. And I freaking believed her, right? But this is the part that was really important. I believed her, but she then wanted to take me into a regression and do a regression to help me clear this dark energy. And in my innocence, and I want everyone to recognize innocence is in no sense is a really powerful spiritual tool. When you don't know what you don't know and you're okay with that and you're cool with it, those things are really important, because in my innocence, I said to her, I think I need to go away and spend some time by myself, and I need to work out what's going on here, because if I need you to clear this, then your teachings aren't good if I have to come and get help outside of myself, right? I need to support myself to clear this. And if I can't, then there's something wrong with the teachings, right? You can imagine how that went down, right? That was not very, it wasn't something that she was really happy about. But what happened was she completely, by saying that I was blanketing the consciousness of the group and creating seeds of doubt completely wiped out all of my family. Like you can imagine, I had just moved to Cairns only about less than a year beforehand. I just spiritually woken up. So I didn't have any friends really. And then I found myself in this little group. So 7 years in this intense training, this was my family. And all of them just went, now we're concerned that you are creating seeds of doubt in us. And so it was a really challenging time. I had actually also just found out I'd had a 15 centimeter fibroid, and I lost a baby through that process. So I was just getting out of hospital. I was lacking, I almost was close to having a blood transfusion. So I was, very weak, a lot of stuff going on for me. But I held on to this and I supported myself through the process. And through the process, she spent all this time really trying to change my thoughts. Losing the baby was nothing compared to this process, because she was psychically and spiritually inside of me, telling me that if I didn't make the right decision, I was going to have another 200 years of, another life, 200 lifetimes that I had to go through to get back to this point, and all of this crap, right? But I held on to my own intuition. I held on to what I believed, and I stayed true to myself. And I watched as that nugget of holding on to what I believed opened up all of these new gateways for me, right? And my life just started accelerating. What happened from that was it took me a while, but I started redefining what was going on for me. Instead of seeing it as I was in a cult, and there was only 5 of us, right? But anything that, a belief is being, any religion can be a cult, right? Any health program can be a cult. Everything has cult energy to it, right? But any sort of belief system can have that sort of connotation to it. So what I did was I changed my definition around it, because I recognized that I did 7 years of past life intense training. I learned to strip all of this old baggage and all of this old information that was in my psyche out of my neural pathways and shift it out of my auric field, so that I was becoming more and more attuned to who I am, rather than having all of this information that no longer served me and was affecting my day-to-day and your day-to-day, right? So whatever's going on for you, if you've still got energies blocked from your childhood, from generational, information, like generations past, and they say from an epigenetic point of view, it could be like 7 generations that's still affecting you. Your conditioning from your childhood, past lives, all of those things. Any moment that you're making a decision, you have all of that stuff within your energy field that's affecting you and causing you to make decisions that you might not make if you were very clear and in your own energy field, instead of all of this gunk, right? So 7 years it took to clear a lot of that stuff out of the way, and I gained a lot of clarity on who I am and my higher self connection, my intuition and all of those things. And as that happened, then this acceleration happened. Now, fast forward, where I can now define it as a good thing, because it was part of this process of this jump each time as I moved forward into more and more of who I am. So I want you to think about, what's affecting you in your energy field. Are you coming from clarity? Have you got a really strong connection to your higher self? what's influencing that, right? What decisions are you making that are they your decisions, or are they somebody else's decisions from your past, or from a, you know, past life or something? You know, now being able to fast forward that, redefine that that was, you know, instrumental in where I am now, being able to recognize that if I hadn't have had that experience and made a different decision not to go to that workshop, for example, my life would be very, very different. And I, you know, who's to know what that would be? But I do know that now being into recoding, the timelines and the ability to shift and clear that stuff, it used to take like 7 years. Like it took a long time, right? I'd have to have someone there, you know, take them through maybe an hour process. We'd be able to do 2 or 3, like 2 lives at the max when I was facilitating people, because of the intensity of the, you know, sometimes I did do a session with one woman, and we did 3, and it really took a lot out of her. She was like buzzing a lot when she came out and felt quite spacey. So that whole process can be very intense. But now the evolution of that is this recoding, where in the last 3 years of recoding, I have had like 500 times more the results than I did doing past life regression, or what I was doing in between, which was EQT, right? So being able to see what's going on in your past and being able to use that to see that actually it served me really, really well. It served me in a lot of ways. And yes, maybe it did limit me in different ways as well. And I, you know, reflect on that as well. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, and being able to serve way more women, to support them, to find their divine partner like I did, you know, meet Tim at the beach, all in alignment with my higher self, and being connected, being able to have a multiple 6-figure business that is supporting other women to learn alchemy and creation codes and clear things really, really fast. Being able to do that in groups now rather than individually, and clear not only past lives, but be able to do generational stuff and belief systems and definitions that don't serve anymore, and all of the things. Being able to do that with exceptional speed now compared to what it was like before. All of that happened because of that past. And so now I honor the fact that I was there. I honor and appreciate and love and support. You know, she actually passed away just recently anyway. But yeah, it was a really, really big journey. And so being able to support women to collapse timelines, to change their health, to find their divine partners, to create more exceptional wealth in their life, and all of those things is just such a blessing. And I know that cold experience was one of the reasons that happened. And so what I have done is, instead of just creating my signature program, Conscious Creator Circle, is in its 3rd year, and we're actually just about, January is the last, actually this is the last call, guys. January is the last month where it will be at 5K at the and I'm putting it up to 10K in February, because the value, the results that we get compared to other courses, it just needs to go up. That's just the way it is. I know that the basics that I teach, but also, reverse engineering how I got to where I am has been exceptional. And the community of women, we've got about, I don't know, somewhere between 45 and 50 women in the course, is really beautiful. And watching them, collapse timelines and get into their creative mode has been awesome as well. So, but what I'm doing in the real world, in the public world, public arena, is I'm supporting women with finding their divine partner. And so I actually have a offer that I'm on the 11th of January. We have a Child of the New Moon session. So it's free. And basically we're going to be looking at manifesting and creating and making choices, because when we create, we have to know the difference between creating from a true creation and true choice, or creating from a place of lack. And there's a really different vibration in the two. And so I want to support women to really tune into their inner child and move into that place of innocence and come from making true choices for 2024. So if you're interested and want to know more about Child of the New Moon, just put Child of the New Moon into the comments and I'll send you the link. If you want to jump in last call before Conscious Creator goes doubles price, then let me know and I can send some information about that as well. But there you go. Here I am in public telling everyone. Yeah, and I redefined it. I remember thinking, wait a minute, I did 7 years of past life regression training and was very intense training, but oh my God, nothing that you would ever read in a book. There's no comparison between reading a book and teaching from a book and actually teaching the skill sets that you've learned and you've experienced yourself. And that's why I often say to people, if you're going into a course with a mentor, always ask the mentor what sort of results they got, how long did it take them, and are they getting the same results with their clients, because it's important. There's so many charlatans out there. There's so many people out there that are, I know a woman that I found out she read a book and started, teaching shamanism. I'm like, seriously, you've got to know who you're working with, and you've got to know that they're getting results and that their clients are getting results, right? So take care. 2023 is nearly finished. I hope you're reflecting. I hope you're refining. I hope you're doing all of the things to support you in your creative space. Reach out if you'd like some support with that. Jump into Child of the New Moon with us. We're going to have heaps of fun. And I will catch you all next time.